These are some of my favorite pictures of August 2024. So the first couple, I whittled it down actually from about maybe 25 or 30 pictures to just this bunch. The first couple are of the moon. My daughter preferred this one. I prefer this one because you can see more of the moon and there's less clouds obscuring it. But I'll try to edit both of them regardless. Let me do this one first and we'll see what the auto setting does in Lightroom. And that looks like garbage. So let's tone that down a little bit. I guess the only thing going for this picture is maybe you could say that there's something in the foreground that kind of gives it some dimension. That it's not just I'm not just pointing at the empty sky with just the moon kind of thing. But I still prefer this. What would I have done differently? Well, even though I kind of like when things are in the foreground, I would have cropped that out. And then maybe get the moon off to the side like this. I kind of like that. Now, this was remarkable in focus, which is something else. That's pretty cool. And this lens, let me see which lens this was. This was 200 to 600 and all the way at 600, 1/500 of a second. That's a lot of detail, man. That's pretty cool. And this one's also pretty cool. Could have been a little sharper. But let's see what the auto setting does for this one. Okay, didn't screw that up too bad. I'd still drop the exposure a little bit. Yeah, I still drop the exposure. Let me put a mask on the moon. And then we could probably make that more contrast. Yeah, that's good. And then we'll stop there. Let's see what it looks like before and after. That's before, that's after. All right, I like that. All right, these three, I gotta pick which one is the best of the three. First, let me start with this one. So this one I kind of like because there's a lot going on, but I don't think it's too much. There's some stuff from the foreground, the ripples from the swan moving away, and there's the trailing light from the reflection of the sunset over here on the left, which I think is pretty cool. There's a lot going on, and I think it's interesting. I also like that it was underexposed. So if I look at the histogram, you can see that it's underexposed. So I could change that a little bit. Raise the exposure, get back some light into it. I suppose that's better. But I don't know what if I gain anything by by getting more detail on the swan. It should be clear. Let me go back to the beginning. It should be clear that this is a swan. And I think this is way more interesting if you see a kind of a silhouette with its reflection. I actually didn't see that. With a reflection off here to the side. I kind of like that. And I wouldn't do much with this at all, actually. Maybe raise the exposure just a little bit. And then drop the highlights so the reflection doesn't look so bright. I like that. I do. All right. And this one is a similar picture to the other, but now the swan takes center stage in my opinion, which is not too bad. What would I have done differently is crop out or zoom in more on the swan, because it's a rock. I don't know if we need more shadow of the rock. So, and then maybe shoot it like this. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, I like that better. I do like that better. All right, now what would I have done differently with this aside from the cropping? Let me see the exposure. This is 200 mil at 1/800 of a second. Yeah, I like this. All right, so far, two good shots, I think. And this one is similar to this one. So it looks like I took these in, these are displayed in inverse order. So the swan started here and it started swimming away to here. All right, so of the three, the one I like the least is this one. I'm gonna delete that. All right, and this is the same swan, but earlier in the day, so maybe a couple of minutes before. So how quickly the sun changes. This was shot at 6:09, and this was shot at 6:12. In just 3 minutes, look how much the light has changed. All right, so I like this one because you can see the water coming off of the swan's beak as it drinks. That's pretty cool. I do like that a lot. I also still like that it's not, that it's underexposed. I like this underexposed. I guess that's not too bad. Yeah, it's not too bad. What would I have done differently is too much in the foreground. I think if I had done something like this, even if I cut off its tail, that would have been fine. I think so. Let me see what that looks like. Let me see what that looks like. That looks pretty good, I think. I prefer that. So let's see what it looks like before and after. That's before, that's after. Yeah, I like that. All right, moving on to the next one. This is of the swan. I think what I don't like about this is I can't really tell right now in its silhouette appearance which way the head is. But if you brighten it, you can see it. But I guess the only redeeming quality of this picture, I mean, I think they're all so far not so bad. But the only redeeming quality of this picture would be the reflection of his neck. But I can't see the reflection of his head. It would have been cool if I had that, right? So if it was out a little bit more and I could see the reflection of his neck all the way through its beak in the water. It's missing the, I say missing like I took it out, but it's not showing the sunset reflection as it does here, which I think makes it way more interesting than here. All right, so I'm not going to keep that picture. Let's delete this one. All right, so this one's not so bad, but I prefer this. I'm going to make something up here off the fly. The reason I prefer this sunset picture to this one, because this one, in my view, tells a better story. Now, what would the story be? All right, it's sunset and it's off to go to bed. It's gonna go to sleep somewhere and it's done whatever it's doing, it's going away. Here it's, I think because it's facing me, even though I got a nice reflection of its beak, it detracts from the beautiful sunset. Here I think the sunset is a part of the story and the swan is also a part of the story. And I like that. Here it's just about the swan, really. So let me see what I can do if I could drop the highlights even more. It's not so bad. Even though the reflection here in the water does look nice, there is some chromatic aberration. I think that's what they call it here on the edge of the stone, right here. So even though it's not a terrible picture, what would I have done differently is I didn't need as much over here on the left, but I guess it's swimming towards the left, so it's okay. And over here in the shadows, I could have cropped that out, but you know, things moving, so don't always get the picture in the right framing. All right, and this is even earlier. I think this was maybe, let me see, what's that? What time is that? So that was 5, so maybe 10 minutes or so earlier. And I like this one because there's a good bit of interesting bits in the background, and the swan is off in the middle, and in the foreground you can tell that the water has, I don't know if you can tell actually, these are there's a lot of lilies around in the water. You can see them here. What would I have done differently? Well, I would have gotten less of the foreground. Yeah, less of the foreground. So maybe something like this would be good. And less of the road. We don't need the road so much. Let me see what that looks like. Okay, that actually looks better. So now that I have that, maybe I can straighten it a little bit so the water line acts as the horizontal border there. All right, I like that. I do. Let me see what auto editing does. Oh my God. Okay, I like that. Did I miss focus a little bit? I don't think so. All right, I like that a whole heap. I like that a whole heap. Let me see. let's remove chromatic aberration. I don't know if that made a difference. Maybe. Take it off. Okay, it does. That's cool. So that's without it. That's with it. Okay, that's cool. Let me bring it up again so maybe no one saw it. So you can see the blue line right there. That's what they call chromatic aberration, where the colors shift between the edges of things, especially when they're bright. I think when they're bright colors or the edges of sharp things that are in focus, I think. Anyways, if you hit remove chromatic aberration, you could see that blue line disappear right there. There it is. So now it's gone. Out when you zoomed out, it doesn't make that big of a deal. It's not to the untrained eye like mine, but with it off, you can't really see it. But I'm going to leave it on anyways. And I like that picture. I really do. All right. The next one is a similar one, but now its feathers are ruffled. And I like that one because there's even more going on. So here you can see it's swimming. I think this is not shallow water, so it's swimming. And here it's not only swimming, but now its feathers are ruffled. And I like that one. Now, what would I have done differently? Aside from it looks like I missed focus, I think. Maybe. I would have cropped out the foreground again. And less of the road. So maybe like that. And then we'll use the waterline as a guide to rotate the image. And I like that. I do. Let's see what auto setting does. That's good too. Which do I prefer? Let me see this one. I prefer this one. I don't think this was that much different in time, but the white balance is off here. This looks cooler, more yellow than the other one. So let me see what it looks like. Yeah, so this is a little bit more yellow. It would appear that there's more of a golden hour appearance on this shot than this one. And the white balance tells the tale. You can see this one's closer. The temperature is cooler on this one and warmer on this one. So if we did auto white balance, what would it look like? I guess that's not too bad. I don't know if I like that though. I like this one. Let me see this one. Let me see before and after. No, I like this. I do like this. All right, on to the next one. I didn't like this picture, even though I like that there were lily pads in the front of it, but it's not open. And I already have these two pictures, so I'll skip this one here. All right, this one I liked because I think it was, I think I deliberately did this. So I shot for the highlights, for the bright part of the image, with the intent that I did not intend to recover the shadows. So let's see what Lightroom does when I hit auto. And that's not too bad. I think it kept that nice, kept the sun nicely in focus here. You could see some detail in the sky. And the intent is not to raise the shadows of the trees, because I'm not interested in that really. That's not what I'm interested in. But it's to keep it like that. I think that's pretty cool. I like that there are trees in the foreground, rocks in the foreground. You can see the sky, lots of detail in the sky. Let me see if I could put a mask on the sky. That's pretty cool. And then we'll drop the exposure a little bit. Increase the contrast. And then maybe decrease the highlights. And then raise the overall exposure of the image. All right, so now let's see before and after. That's before, that's after. All right, that's not too bad. And this one was off the Swan again. You can see the focal plane is right here. I might have missed focus a little bit, I'm not sure. Well, I was trying to get the similar shot to what I have here, and I think I got it, so I can skip this one. All right, and the last one I have was of this flower that was at the edge of the bank there, and I just wanted to focus on this, and that was the intent. What would I have done differently as far as framing? Maybe get less of the bush on the right and more of the one on the left, just to make it equidistant. Let me crop that in to see. All right, that's not too bad. Let's do auto setting in Lightroom. Okay, that's not too bad. Would I print this? Not really. Wait, what is this in here? Oh, it's just a leaf? I thought it was an animal or something. It's just a leaf. Right? Okay. And I think that's pretty cool. All right, so a nice day of shooting. So I got some good ones. I like this. I like that. I like that. I like that. If anybody watches this in the future and wants these pictures, I'll put them for free in the description. Just put a comment in the YouTube and I'll do it if you're interested. You can download I'll put the RAW and the JPEG if you want. Okay, take it easy.